I'm Jack Hackathorn with Milbank Manufacturing, and we're going to talk about the new design of our 17 and 20 kW home standby generator units. Some things we want to point out that make it NFPA 37 compliant, which simply means that if it's compliant for NFPA 37, this generator can be mounted as close as 18 inches from the wall of the building, regardless of the wall structure, whether it be vinyl siding, wood siding, it doesn't matter. We can go within 18 inches. And I'm going to explain a few things that made it happen with NFPA to be compliant for that. And we'll start off first of all at the base. We have a steel base here instead of a polycarbonate. That's what we used to use, and some other manufacturers still do. But we went and changed to a steel base. That way, if there was any kind of a fire that happened inside of the compartment of this generator, it would stay contained within the generator for at least long enough for it to extinguish itself. And we'll talk about the self-extinguishing portion of it here in just a few minutes. But the base being steel means it won't melt through, and there will be no fire that will be able to penetrate outside of the cabinet unit itself. The second thing is we went from swing out doors to solid doors that are actually screwed in on the three sides. 6 screws simply is all you need to get to the 3 sides, as opposed to swinging out the doors like we used to have. So just a tad bit more labor, but it also helped us to become compliant with the NFPA, so we can have this much closer. The exhaust system now comes out the front. We have the intake comes in through the back. The exhaust comes out the front. So in addition to not killing the shrubbery that has been, planted next to the unit to kind of hide it, that a lot of people do, it also gives you the ability to be much closer in tighter compartment areas to windows and doors. When you have to be at least 5 feet away from the exhaust area, you've gained this much area now in order to be closer to doors and windows and still maintain the 5-foot distance, since the exhaust is not coming out the side anymore. Now, the last thing you really can't see, but there's a fuel solenoid that's in the back. It's an external fuel solenoid, which means that if there were a fire that would occur inside the compartment of this unit, there are thermal fuses on the inside of the unit that when it reaches a certain temperature, they will sacrifice, and the fuel line will be shut off automatically outside of the generator. Therefore, you're not going to have a blowtorch effect inside the unit until someone manually turns off the gas, like would be the case in some other units. This one will actually externally turn off the fuel source, so the fire should self-extinguish it within moments, because there's no more fuel source coming into the engine compartment to keep the fire going, so to speak. Now, let's talk about the enclosure itself. Some of the things that we've done as an improvement on the newer units is the type of finish that we put on the paint is very similar to what's being used in the automotive industry. So therefore, you're going to get a 3-year warranty with us against rust and corrosion on both the base and the unit itself. That's the best warranty in the industry against rust and corrosion. Again, we talked about how easy it is to access this. There's 6 screws, 2 in the back. Notice how the hood will raise perpendicular to the unit, so we have 2 screws in the back. This can be lifted up very easily for you to be able to get into the back of the unit to make any kind of adjustments. One of the adjustments is obviously the fuel valve in here. If you want to switch from natural gas to liquid propane, all you need is simply a 5mm Allen wrench and turn it 180 degrees, and you've changed from natural gas to liquid propane as your fuel source by simply accessing through the back. 2 simple screws. That's all it takes. Same with the front. Any service that needs to be done is very easily accessible. The oil change, we allow an additional drain hose for changing the oil out, so you can do a much cleaner oil change. Over here on the side, you can see where the battery compartment is. These are the cables for your battery. So all you do when you need to install the battery is you undo these 2 screws, the side panel comes off, you set the battery down and connect the cables. It doesn't get any easier than that. We also have a plug and play for our battery warmer and for our oil warmer, where all you have to do is plug in the unit and put it in place. and you're completely finished. The last thing I want to bring to your attention is the electronic governing system, which is right up in this side of the compartment. Notice it's on a stationary wall inside the generator. It's not mounted actually on the engine itself. So therefore you should get much more consistent governing of your engine speed with the electronic governor not being susceptible to the engine vibration and maybe taking it out of adjustment.